You do not need a roster. You need a hobby, because our roster is there for you to get this constant hit of dopamine because you're looking for something new, you're looking for something exciting. And this is coming from my own experience because I had a phase at one point in my life where I did have a roster and I would refresh it constantly. And I did that because I needed some kind of novelty in my life. Like I wanted to have like something new and exciting happening all the time. And if you have a roster, it's probably because you have a way of getting easy access to a catalog of other people, which is a dating app. And I'm saying this from my own past life of having a roster that I would refresh constantly, but you're probably finding these people on an app. Like, think about the meaningful relationships you have or had in your life. Like, you can probably count your really close friends and your intimate partners, like past and present, on like maybe both hands, max. Like, max for me, like it wouldn't even be 10 of just all the meaningful connections I've had in the past few years. That is not easy to come across. So, to me, having a list of men who you see regularly and a list that refreshes constantly, that's not a sign of a meaningful relationship to me, because that is easy to come across and easy to replace. So you don't need a roster. You need novelty and excitement in your life. And so you need to go out and get a hobby or start a side hustle or something like that, because just cycling through men is not the way to go. And I think that having a roster is different from having options, because when you are seriously dating, like dating with the intention of marriage, yes, you should have a couple of options, but it's not a roster. It's, two or three guys at the beginning when you're not exclusive with anybody who, you're still sussing these people out. So if one of them acts up or turns out to be a buffoon, you have other options. So having options is not the same as having a roster, because to me, having a roster means you have easy access to a lot of readily available men through a dating app who you can just cycle through. And if they were that great and that eligible, they were providers, they're good, capable men who would be good husbands, they would not be that readily available. And they're thinking the same about you, okay? Those guys who are going through these apps and looking for girls, they're not thinking this is going to be my future wife. They're thinking this is going to be my next booty call. They're thinking this is maybe a woman I'll date casually for a little while to keep myself busy. But they don't see you as a wife either. In the same way that you don't see them as a husband. So if you're looking for a little bit of fun and excitement, sure. But if you're looking for something serious, you got to go out of your house into real life and find a person there. Okay? That's just my opinion. But again, you guys asked for my opinion, so that's what I'm giving. And one more thing before we move on to the next question. There's a lot of hype right now, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of talk, a lot of hype on social media about finding a provider man. Sure, very valid. I think every girl wants that. But these guys are not on these dating apps. They're not on Hinge or Bumble. They're not even on Raya, because no guy who has that much to provide and offer is going to make himself readily available on some stupid dating app. I promise you. These apps are just here to make us all lazy and to think that we're doing something. We're looking for a partner, or we're making steps towards not being single, but it's just a waste of time. You're literally cannibalizing your own time by being on a dating app. And you're probably doing that because you are comfortable, because it's easier to swipe through a catalog of people than it is to go out in real life and put yourself out there and maybe approach somebody. But like I said before, if you're pretty, you can do anything. If you're pretty, you don't even have to put in any more effort. You just have to go out and exist. So be pretty and then go out to where your target audience is and then let them do the rest. You might have to drop a few hints here and there. You might have to make a little bit of eye contact. You might have to be like, oh, excuse me, can I ask your help for something? Or something like that. But then you let them do the rest of the work. You guys, like, so many people are under the assumption that finding a guy is hard. It's not hard. Finding a good guy is hard. But if you're pretty and you go out in public, you're gonna get the attention. And if you're smart, you can weed out people pretty quickly. But if you were on a dating app, you're coming across the worst of the worst. I have so many friends sending me screenshots of these guys' profiles, of stuff these guys have said to them in conversations, and I'm like, how, like, this guy belongs in a zoo or a prison. Looking for a respectable provider man on a dating app is like going to the dollar store and wondering why they aren't selling Louis Vuitton. So, you know better. Delete the apps and go on in real life. Okay, I know it's easier when you're in a bigger city and there's lots of places to go, there's lots of social events, but in my opinion, dating apps are just so widely used now because nobody wants to be uncomfortable, nobody wants to put themselves out there, and no one really wants to put in the effort of going out and meeting people organically. But our parents did it, their parents before that did it, every generation before us did this organically, minus like arranged marriages and stuff like that. And let me tell you all this, even though I said I'm going to move on to the next question like 25 times, my mom, when she was dating my dad, was also dating another guy, and they knew about each other. That's what having options means. And she met them both in real life, and when she got more serious with my dad, she dumped the other guy, and they're still married. Having options and having a roster, two very different things. All right, take it from my mom. She is a diva.